जो संविधान को मानने वाले लोग हैं वो सब उनको मानने को तैयार।
All right, so what does this really mean in practical terms? Interestingly, a few hours after the Supreme Court order, Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis, talked about how reservation for Marathas will now be implemented in the state. This is a proposal that didn't pass muster before the Supreme Court earlier. In fact, the 50% limit on reservation that was being followed in most states, with a few exceptions, is likely to be breached, as every political party and state government may add on these additional categories. Overall, the number of spots in government jobs and in educational institutions that are not reserved will reduce in some cases. That is obvious. Importantly, the judgment has also opened the door for a discussion on whether the entire reservation policy needs to be reviewed. So why am I saying that? Because two of the judges have talked about this in their judgment very specifically. They have said that the idea of reservation was supposed to be, even according to Dr. Ambedkar, for 10 years. It's gone on for 7 decades. So will reservation on economic basis change the system of quotas? To speak on this, I'm joined today by Tehseen Poonawala, who is a petitioner in the case. A. Sarvanan, spokesperson of the DMK, is with us today. Author Sanjay Jha is joining us, and I'm also joined by Ashwini Kumar Dubey, advocate in the Supreme Court. I'm speaking this evening also with Dr. Justice Satish Chandra, former judge. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us today on the show. Tehseen, you petitioned against upholding this amendment. So what next, when 3 of 5 have made it clear that it will go ahead? In real terms, what are your concerns?
So first, thank you. Good evening. Thank you so much for having me on my show. Good evening to my fellow panelists and to all your viewers. I petitioned against this because I firmly believe, and I still believe, that this is against and violating the basic structure of our Constitution. With due respect to the Honorable Apex Court, before whose majesty I bow, I disagree with this judgment. What next? I will study the judgment. I have not got a copy of the judgment with me, and I will decide whether there should be a review of what are the next legal steps that need to be taken. To your question, why was I opposing this? Because first, I completely agree with the contention that is being made that anybody who's economically backward or weaker must get help from government. So, for example, the Ayushman Bharat scheme. Anybody who's poor, irrespective of caste, religion, gender, or sexual orientation, must get the desired medical help. Anybody who needs a gas cylinder who cannot afford it, irrespective of caste, gender, religion, or sexual orientation, must get it. Anybody who requires a toilet must get it. That is not what we're talking about. Reservation is based on historical injustices done. And may I just present my case before I end my submissions to you? We are today on 7th November 2020. Anybody who supports this, can they kindly tell me with data, with accurate data, how many Chief Justices of the most Honorable Supreme Court of India have been our Dalit or OBC fellow citizens or scheduled tribe citizens? How many Chief Justices today in all the high courts in India are from the SC, OBC or SC?
Tehseen, how many of them have been poor?
That I agree. And therefore, for poverty, anybody who requires any help for poverty must be given irrespective of the criteria, gender, caste, religion, sexual orientation. But I am asking you another question, and I agree, and I concede to that point, Tamanna. But when I ask the question on 7 November 2022, 75 years after independence, as of today, how many of my Chief Justices are from the scheduled caste or scheduled tribes? Can you please answer that question? Why aren't there
So your position is that reservation is required to right historical wrongs, but affirmative action should not extend to a broad, economically weaker section category.
Yes, I just want one line. I am making one clarion call on your show. Jiski jitni sankhya bhari, uski utni hissedari. Why can't you give that? Are you telling me on 7th November 2022, there aren't enough capable Dalit fellow citizens who can be vice chancellors of national universities? Why aren't they? That's all I'm asking.
No, but nobody is saying that, Tehseen.
Then
nobody is saying that today. We're talking about something else, right?
Then the affirmative action has not happened for 75 years. That proves my point. You're accepting my point, and it proves it. May I ask one rhetorical question? I don't believe reservations should extend in the private sector at all. I'm against this. But may I ask with humility, how many 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. anchors are Dalits, SC, STs, OBCs? How many? Look,
No, I think it's a
not
fair
extended
question.
affirmative action.
No,
It's not
Tehseen, it's a
extended.
fair question. It's a fair question. It's also a good question to the economically weaker section. The fact is we are an unequal society. I think nobody can deny that. The question is reservation the answer after 70 years? Has it done anything else? And is EWS going to change the situation on ground? Dr. Justice Satish Chandra, since Tehseen has opened by asking a specific question about how many judges were SC, ST, etc., I'd like you to respond on some of the concerns today.
Tamanna ji, first of all, there was no question for the constitutional amendment today. Because by amending the constitution, this was the question whether this is in accordance with the constitution, basic structure was violated or not. So the reservation was given by the act which was passed in the year of 2019, and it was challenged in MP High Court, and this is there. So this was the one correction. Secondly, I am coming to the petitioner, Mr. Poonawalla, who said how many chief justices and judges were appointed. So at present, I can say K.G. Balakrishnan is there, Sada Sivam is there. Both were retired as the Chief Justice of India. And there are so many judges. If you will see, we will find it. So this is wrong that they were not appointed.
Tehseen?
May I please?
No, I have to get back to the panel, but since you've asked a specific question and the judge on the panel has replied to you,
Yes.
Will you withdraw that question now?
No, he just proved my point. The most honorable retired judge just proved my point. He named 2 chief justices in 75 years of our independence. Our SC community is much larger than that. Proportionately, they should have been at least...
Tehseen, you said name even 1. He named 2. You said name even 1. He named 2.
No, please hear me out. Please hear me out. Please hear me out. Tamanna, what I said is this. I said how many SC chief justices have been there, and in the present High Court, how many are SC, OBC. That's what I said. And
one minute. Let Justice reply.
That proves my point.
Just a moment. Poonawalla ji, the figure can be checked from the Justice Department. At present, I don't have the figure, but vividly I told the Chief Justices K.G. Balakrishnan, Sada Sivam, Justice Sada Sivam, for the Surukas. And there are so many judges. And thirdly, I will tell you, for the appointment of the judges, caste is not the base. The appointment is always made on merits. And there is no reservation in the judiciary till date. For your information, there is no reservation in the judiciary.
Absolutely. Merit, there is merit. 1 minute. Let me move on. Let me broaden the debate, please. Let me come to now Mr. Saravanan, whose party today has said they are unhappy with what the Supreme Court has decided. This is at a time when the BJP, the Congress, a lot of other parties have said they are happy with this, but the DMK is not. Can you explain why, Mr. Saravanan? What is the concern? I asked this question to Tehseen as well. What is the practical concern that you see?
Yes. See, reservation is not a poverty alleviation program. This is the first and fundamental opposition to this EWS quota. When the framers our constitution debated, they said that there should not be any reservation based on economic criteria. Even when this case was argued in the Supreme Court, see, economic status is fungible. I am a millionaire today, I may become a pauper tomorrow. I am a pauper today, I may become a millionaire tomorrow. So how will you decide my economic status? So it is totally, that is what, yet another issue, a moral hazard is this, that this reservation is only for the upper caste people. They are totally leaving out the other communities who belong, who may be poor.
So that's because the remaining 50% have representation of other communities.
No. I am saying when you are saying that this is for economically weaker section, please say this is economically weaker section of the upper caste. So this is reservation, and when you make that ceiling limit as 8 lakhs, what happens? Literally everybody from our country will be eligible for this EWS quota. You want to get scholarship for SC, ST communities, the income ceiling is 2.5 lakhs, but you can get an EWS quota when you earn less than 8 lakhs. This is injustice. So this is not for uplifting the poor. This is electoral politics. The BJP wants to ensure. See, I want to add one more point, Tamanna. Just give me 10 seconds. See, for thousands of years, Everybody have been denied opportunity, access to education, access to job opportunities based on the caste. Now you are changing the criteria, so that criteria should continue for providing jobs and other educational opportunities. Now you are changing that criteria and bringing a new economic criteria. 100 years
But are
back,
you
nobody
changing
was
the
denied.
are you
Just a moment,
changing the
just a moment.
criteria? 1
100
minute.
years
Are you
back,
no
nobody was denied
1
opportunity
minute, Mr.
because they were
Sarvanan?
poor.
Are you
They were
changing
denied
the criteria or are you
opportunities
adding on?
because what?
Are you changing the criteria or are you adding on? That 50% is untouched, right? This is an additional.
Yes. Yes, additional. So what happens? 50%. They are touching with a 50% where everybody can compete. OBCs, SC, STs can compete. So again, that competition is narrowed down. So only they can compete in the 40%, which we were allowed earlier. So it is indirect, not directly impinging upon the opportunities of the BCs, SCs, STs. This is what is unacceptable. The BJP wanted to play to the upper caste gallery. This reservation is only for the upper caste. Let that sink in. So this is not.
Is it for the
EWS
upper
quota.
caste? Okay, Ashwini Kumar Dubey, is this for the upper caste? Is this truly for the economic backward? And this point about the 8 lakh criteria, I think this you must speak about, because there is, if I'm not mistaken, a 3-member committee which is supposed to relook at this 8 lakh criteria as well. In a country like ours, is 8 lakhs really the right ceiling to determine who is on the economically weaker section? Yes, Mr. Dubey.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but allow me to complete. The social reality is that there are poor individuals among the socially advanced classes, that is the non-scheduled classes, non-scheduled tribes, and non-socially and educationally backward classes. The admitted position is that when Constitution was brought into effect, there was only 2 classes. One class was scheduled caste with the 15% reservation. Another class was scheduled tribes with 7.5% reservation, which is the constitutional reservation. Third, this socially backward class brought into effect in 1990 in order to appease the certain classes. That is the statutory reservation. That has no place in the original even Constitution came into picture. The Constitution, which was initially framed by our Constitution framers, specifically says that this reservation is only for a period of 10 years. Even as of now, the Constitution's Article 14, Article 15, Subclause 6, Subclause A specifically does not say caste, it says class. So how suitably
So what is your point?
Class was that you have to understand, the class was shifted to caste in order to appease. Third, whether the economic criteria should not be a basis, and whether it finds a place in the Constitution or not, that is clear from the Constitution, because the Constitution's Article 15 what guarantees equality of opportunities for all citizens in matters relating to employment or appointment to any office under the state. If it is so, now coming to the Indira Sahni judgment, which my friends are time and again arguing, one of the tests of Indira Sahni case was that this 50% reservation should be transgressed only in extraordinary or exceptional cases, when exceptional cases are made out. Now come to the Keshwanand Bharti case. Justice Sikri what opined? It is said it is for the courts for Parliament to decide whether an amendment is necessary. The courts will not be concerned with the wisdom of the amendment. So 103rd constitutional amendment, which says that the reservation of 10% should be given to the economically weaker section of the upper community, is not contrary to the constitutional provision.
It doesn't say upper community, Mr. Dubey, it does not say upper community. It says 10% economically weaker society. I believe this is agnostic of caste, class, religion. It can be any Indian, isn't it? You just mentioned upper community.
That is why Attorney General argued. He said the SC, ST, OBC are benefited with number of reservation benefits given by the Constitution framers and the legislator from time to time. At the time of taking admission, at the time of getting opportunity, at the time of getting job.
Sir, you seem to be arguing against the basis of reservation. Are you hoping that this opens the door to review reservation of backward caste, backward classes, OBC, SC, ST? Mr. Dubey?
As of now, if we see the argument and the judgment of Honorable Justice Pardiwala, then as of now,
Yes.
the economic criteria should be sole criteria to decide the reservation. Point one. If we see Honorable Justice Bela Triveji's last argument and the judgment that the constitution needs transformation, and transformation can only be when after 75 years of this independence we review that how many castes have been benefited and how many OBC category have been shifted to general category, which has been held in the Indira Sani judgment. So that is why our constitution is very progressive constitution, and as of now,
All right.
after
So you are proving the point I'm making. Yes, Mr. Saravanan.
Yeah. See, the problem here is, he says, 10 years, it was recommended only for 10 years. Mr. Desin Poonawalla was very correct. After 75 years, how many people from the SC, ST, OBCs are occupying higher positions? You take any category, scientists, secretaries, judges, high court judges, anything, any top echelons. There is no appropriate representation even after 75 years of affirmative action. And the Honorable the Justice was talking about 2 judges. No, sir. Mr. Justice Sadashivam does not belong to the SC category. He was from the OBC category. So you could point out only 2 persons. This is what we were talking about. So 1000 years of discrimination, and you want that to be done away with 75 years of selective, just 50% of affirmative action. How can this be sustainable? And economic, again, the point here is this: economic criteria will change overnight. A lottery winner, he will lose it. So why should that be given? The classic example is what happened to our ex-president, Mr. Ramnath Kovind. He was the top man. He's the first man of the country. What happened to him at Puri Jagannath Koil? This classically
Sir, Mr. Saravanan, one could argue, just a minute, sir. One could argue that what you're saying proves reservation has not worked. It's time to go back to the drawing board. It's proving that reservation has not worked. We need to look at it. Let me, 1 minute, Mr. Dubey. I'm asking the question. Do we now, I'm asking this in all seriousness and honesty, because believe it or not, most viewers have perhaps not enough information about the background of this. Everyone looks at it from their own very narrow prism. That's why I think this is an important discussion to have today. Mr. Saravanan, many today will ask, let me finish the question, sir, and let me frame it. Many today will ask, even those who might be from general quota, who might not make the cut for this EWS 10%, at a time when jobs are few in this country, when opportunities are few in this country, they will ask that what has this 70 years of reservation really done to help these sections of society? And when it continues, does it not harm the rest even more?
No, Tamanna. The answer is a respectful no, because the answer lies in the representation. How many are represented? Even after 75 years, when there are not enough representation, it means this system has to continue until equality is achieved. That is why I quoted the example of the president. Even though he is the top man of this country, what happened to him? In spite of his wealth, in spite of his position, he was not treated equally. We have still been divided. That discrimination is still there. That is why we are saying, however wealthy you are, you will not be able to get the same treatment.
Will reservation change the mindset? What you're describing is a mindset problem that we have in India.
That is the
Will reservation change that? All right, 1 minute. No, Ms. Sanjay Jha is coming in. He's not spoken yet. Wait, hang on. Yes, Sanjay Jha.
Oh, well, Tamanna, I tend to agree with what exactly Mr. Saravanan is speaking today. Let me add a few points to what he's already mentioned. Number one, let's be very clear here. This is a split verdict. And the Chief Justice has actually put up a dissenting note where he believes that the basic structure of the Constitution has been violated. Now, I can tell you, we are all students of political history. We have studied the Constitution. And to the best of our knowledge, when we talked of affirmative action or positive discrimination, it was always meant to be to help the socially and economically backward classes. That was the real categorical understanding that we all had. Now, you asked a very relevant point that reservations have failed. There's a reason behind it. You know, how much, we are missing the woods for the trees in the discussion. You're talking about government jobs. You're talking about government educational institutions. Now, do we all not know that at the end of the day, for jobs, it is the private sector that is to create jobs. Why is India's unemployment ballooning? Mr. Modi's government promised 20 million jobs a year. Today, even the limited few government jobs that are there, the positions are not being filled because the government is worried about fiscal deficit. So you really can do. Let me tell you what Mr. Modi's government is doing. It is creating this spin that there will be reservations for the forward caste. Let's be honest, we are talking about the forward caste when you talk of EWS. Now, where are the jobs? Nobody's asking the fundamental question. We are talking about as if there is so many jobs available in the government that the reservations will result in a miraculous.
Sanjay, I agree, but that is well known. That is well known. The creamy jobs, the great private sector jobs, well, frankly, those aren't safe for anyone right now. That's another reality and, you know, a topic for another day. That does not come under the ambit of reservation. But even today, the secure government job is the most coveted.
Well, Tamanna, let me make this point to you now. We need to understand this, that you've got to look at the gigantic problem that we have, and this is for every citizen of this country, whether they're OBC, SC, ST, or from the forward caste. Now, let me tell you here, the government, and which was basically saying for a long time that reservations should be based on merit. I belong to a upper caste, by the way. Let me tell you that. And many people from my ilk say that, reservations are bad. And today, we are ourselves saying that we need reservations. Isn't that by itself a hypocritical contradiction?
Okay, Tehseen wants to come in.
One more point. Just one more point. There was an objection to the creamy layer from the OBCs getting part of the reservations. I agree with it. The affluent should not get it. Here you are talking about an 8 lakh limit. I mean, suddenly 8 lakh limit is an
exceptional. So there are two things. 1 minute. Let me keep the 8 lakh question aside for a second, because that merits a more detailed discussion. Is 8 lakh the right parameter? Merits a more detailed discussion. So let's not conflate the two. Yes, Tehseen, very quickly in response to what Sanjay Jha is saying.
No, I completely concur with Sanjay Jha. In fact, that was my tweet, that the same people who until yesterday were abusing me and saying that reservation should not exist in India are today praising the EWS reservation. But I want to actually take on the honorable former judge and give him statistics, which I have once again cross-checked from the Supreme Court website and from my data. India has 16.63% Dalit population, SC population. Only one judge so far, one Chief Justice, that's Mr. Balakrishnan. And as of now, there's only one judge in the Honorable Supreme Court who's from the Dalit community. Compare that to our Brahmin population, which is 4.3%, and 30.6% judges are from the Brahmin category. Isn't that grossly unfair? I'm not against Brahmins becoming judges. I'm just asking a very relevant question. Affirmative action is not taking part. I can quote all data from universities, etc., etc. You've got the gist of my argument. Affirmative action has not happened. But let me make this political as well. Let's move from legal to political. And I'm saying this with a full sense of responsibility. The Bharatiya Janata Party, the government today in power, including the most honorable Prime Minister, is against reservations for poor. And I'll tell you why. Why has the RSS never had a Dalit and OBC or SC, ST chief? It's never had one. And why today the BJP, which is for EWS reservation, why did the most honorable Prime Minister, when he was Chief Minister of Gujarat, bring his own community under an OBC quota and call himself an OBC Prime Minister? Yani ki hum kare to chamatkar, aap kare to gunegar. Therefore, I'm saying, and I'm repeating this, jiski jitni sankhya bari, uski itni hissedari. When the former judge, with respect to him, says that judgments should be made, judges should come on merit, is the former judge saying that a Dalit fellow citizen does not have merit to be in the Supreme Court?
Let Justice Chandra respond. 1 minute. Let Justice Chandra respond to that point. Yes.
First of all, I gave the name for the persons who came from the reserve quota, whether Sadashivam or KG Balakrishnan or the President of India, President one or former one. All these are from this one. But question remains that this reservation is really working or not. We will have to see it. Earlier, it was only for 10 years, as my co-panelist told. And now, question is this: take one example. There are two persons in the race. One is a competent person, ordinary person, another is with disability. And you give the reservation to the disabled person to run the race. So why not remove the disability? Why not remove the disability and make him equal? Make him equal, and so that both can run. So give the proper education in the beginning, give the financial assistance, and abolish the reservation if it is so. But this has become a political tool. From 75 years, it is coming. And in next 75 years, it will continue only for voting. For the what purpose? Politicians, whether party is BJP or Congress or anybody, but they will use it as a tool.
1 minute. Justice
This
Chandra.
mindset, Tamanna, is what I'm fighting
Yeah.
against.
Yeah.
Tamanna,
This
can I come in?
mindset.
Tamanna, can I come in?
This is the
Just a
mindset I'm
moment.
fighting against. This mindset. You call somebody, they are disabled, they are not capable. What is this mindset? This is what this distinction still exists in India in 2022 on your show. A
Just 1
privileged
minute.
judge
Justice
is calling
Chandra, would you
people-
like to clarify
This is
what
we
you
are-
just said? Would you like to clarify what you just said? Are
I
you
just
because
said-
it is sounding like you are inferring that someone from a backward community does not have the same capability.
No. I never said like that. They came on the post, whether president or chief justice or other thing. They came on merit. That is one thing. Because there is no reservation in the judiciary for the post of the president of India or our prime minister is from OBC. There is no reservation in that one. So they came on their own merit. So merit is there. But question is this: the benefit of the reservation is reaching to the ordinary person or not? Who is in that
No, but
category?
then okay, Saravanan wants to come in. Mr. Saravanan wants to come in. Mr. Saravanan wants to come in. By that argument though, Justice Chandra, then if we know that reservation doesn't work and we have 70 years to prove that it doesn't work, why increase the amount of people who get reservation? It's clearly not working. Then we need to go to the drawing board of what form and route our affirmative action takes. If it's not worked for certain communities, why will it work for EWS?
EWS is a different category which was upheld today, and that was introduced by the parliament in the year 2020 and was challenged before this. Mr. Poonawalla might have challenged it, but remain first. I agree with him. Originally in the constitution, there was not the word of the economic weaker sections. The word was the inequality and discrimination suffered by the communities, backward communities, or OBC educationally status of the unprivileged community. Word was there, but
Okay.
fact remains.
Yeah,
That in the original constitution.
All right,
article
Saravanan wants to
there.
come in. Yes,
Madam,
yes,
just a
Mr.
moment.
Saravanan.
Just a moment.
Yeah.
In
Tamanna,
46th
yeah.
article, that is the directive principle of the state policy. There the word was used by the framer of the constitution, and this is the obligation of the state to promote with special case for the educational and economical interest.
Yeah. Tamanna, can I come in,
All
Tamanna?
right.
Bigger section.
All
of
right,
the
let
bigger
Mr.
section.
Saravanan
So
respond.
first time word was there, economic.
Justice Chandra, let Mr. Saravanan respond. Yes, Mr. Saravanan.
See, yes. It is the duty of the union government or the state government to promote people who are economically downtrodden. But how do you do that? Give them doles, give them scholarships, put the money in their bank. That is how you uplift the economically downtrodden, not by giving reservation in jobs and
Similar
reservation
argument can be advanced for the OBC
in
and
educational
SC and
institutions. Just a
ST.
moment, sir. I did not interfere. Just listen to me. So the BJP is a party which is against the interest of the OBCs. I can say this with authority because when this All India quota reservation for OBCs was there, it is the DMK, it is our leader Mr. MK Stalin who fought for it. We fought a political battle, we fought a court battle and ensured that OBC quota is available for medical students under the All India quota, given under All India quota. Even after a court order, the BJP government refused to implement it. We have to file a contempt petition to ensure what is guaranteed by the constitution.
Politically, I don't think any party, including the BJP, will present itself as anti-reservation.
It is by the actions of what it has done. They have proved that they are anti-reservation, especially to the OBCs, SCs and STs. Because one more thing would be this reservation, as I want to reiterate that this reservation does not take into consideration the economically weaker section from the other communities. So what reservation are they talking about? They are a party, as pointed out.
What about economically weaker section from other religions, from all minorities? They also get covered now, finally. That's why it's being pitched as Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas.
That's what Tamanna, the data says. You have come to a very, very valid point. The data says, Mrs. Rukmani has written an article which is there, which says, when we speak about this if you implement this economically weaker sections quota properly, it is only the Muslims who should be able to get this quota fully, 10% quota fully. But how the BJP government has diluted that? By making this 8 lakhs. I am challenging now the BJP government will not dilute this, will not lower this threshold of 8 lakhs, because their idea is
Mr.
every
Dubey, I
upper
want to
caste,
come
every
now on the
eligible
question
upper
of
caste
8 lakhs versus
to get this.
2.5. 1 minute. This came up earlier in the conversation. I think it's important we talk about it. 8 lakhs versus 2.5. Mr. Saravanan makes the point that over here the threshold is 8 lakhs, and for other reservations, it is 2.5 lakhs. Why the disparity?
Your question
Dubey
is to
ji,
me.
the sawal aapke liye. Yes.
Ajab, thank you, Tamanna, for asking this question. I am waiting so long. Tamanna, see, let me make your panelist read about the basic constitution and its object. What Justice Kuldeep Singh has said, that it was poverty which envelops a class in backwardness. And this is not the culprit cause of the poverty. This is the poverty, not the caste. Second, my friends are time and again discussing about the 50% cap and also saying that why there is a disparity. Under Article 16, subclause 4, backward classes of citizens can be identified on the basis of caste and not just on an economic basis. So 2.5 is only for those people who are from the marginalized communities, per se, who have been introduced in the constitution, per se, for whom there was a debate in the constitution, the Constituent Assembly. This 8 lakhs is the creamy layer. This 8 lakhs is the criteria which came into existence in 1992 by Indira Sahni judgment.
No,
8
sir.
lakhs is the
He's
criteria
asking about-
which is existing. Allow me to complete, brother. When you are speaking, I was not speaking. I know you are over enthusiastic.
He's waiting. He's waiting. He's listening to you, Mr. Dubey. It's okay. Complete your point, please.
Now that this article, let's talk about we all are lawyers. Most of the people are lawyers. Let's talk about the basic object of the Constitution. Tamanna, very categorically and candidly, I say before you that Article 16, subclause 4 does not discriminate and say the caste. It says the class, and class includes the upper and lower both castes. So if it is so, then how the 103rd constitutional amendment is contrary to the what has
Can
been
I ask
introduced
you a
in the
simple
Constitution
question?
regarding reservation?
1 minute.
Now,
No, Mr. Dubey, 1 minute. This is not a courtroom. The viewers are not all lawyers. They want to understand this subject. May I ask you a simple question? Are you saying today that there is no discrimination in this country on the basis of caste?
Absolutely.
That
Bang
people,
on.
1 minute, that people who belong to certain communities and certain castes are still treated differently no matter how much money they have.
there is
If
a
they
law.
manage to escape, 1 minute, sir, may I complete my point and my question? If they manage to escape to the large so-called metropolitan cities of this country, they may then enjoy the anonymity which comes with quote-unquote loaded word merit. But in large parts of this nation, merit does not matter, your caste matters. Do you deny this or not, Mr. Dubey? That is my simple question to you.
I completely deny. Why I deny?
There
Because
is no
a law.
discrimination on the basis
There
of
is
caste
no
in this
discrimination.
country.
Living in utopia.
Look, allow me to complete.
Learn a gentleman is
allow me
living
to
in
complete.
utopia.
Don't make it a personal
He's not
argument.
living in
Please
India.
allow me to complete.
Sir, you're not
asked
living in
question
India,
to me.
sir. You're living in
There is
utopia.
no
1 minute, Mr.
discrimination.
Saravanan, don't heckle him. Let him complete. I asked him a question. I want to hear the answer. Yes.
There is no discrimination. Why? There is a law passed by the parliament which says that if there is any discrimination on the ground of the caste, you will have to land in the jail, and it's a non-bailable offense. There is no
Mr.
anticipatory
Dubey, you
jail
are a
law, which
lawyer.
talks about
You
the
are a
SC,
lawyer.
ST laws
Are
also.
you
Or
saying
point
the
number two.
existence
So
of
for
law?
the discrimination you
1
are
minute.
saying.
This theory is a bit, it needs to be questioned with all due respect. Are you saying the existence of law ensures that the crime will not occur?
Of course, not on the basis of caste.
I mean,
Of
that's
course
no,
not on
but
the
that's
basis
the
of
logic.
religion.
That's a
Of course
logic.
not
Then
on
we
the
have
basis of-
laws against rape. There should be no rapes in this country.
So there is.
ये
that the
मतलब
law
ये
is
तर्क
taking its
थोड़ा
own
गड़बड़ हो
course.
गया
Law
ये
is
तर्क थोड़ा
taking
गड़बड़ हो
its-
गया आपका No, I'm sorry. You are saying there is no discrimination on the basis of caste in this country because there is a law against it.
No, I am saying there is no discrimination on the caste, and if there is a discrimination,
No,
the law
no.
takes its own course. Authority is there to ensure.
Sir,
that
if law took
anybody-
its own course, तब क्या था? Then there was no need for affirmative action of any kind.
So that
1
is
minute,
why-
Sanjay Jha. I'm bringing in Sanjay Jha into this conversation. Sanjay Jha, the broader question you've been asking, today is unfortunately not going to be on top of anyone's mind. That what is this pie over which everyone is fighting? This 50%, this 10%, and isn't this an ever-shrinking pie?
Tamanna, this is exactly the point I was making. We are missing the woods for the trees here. You know, political parties are going to play the game of reservations because it actually takes away the heat from the larger issue of what are we doing to increase the size of the pie. Now, think about it. You know, there is a gentleman here who's probably not aware of Rohit Vemula. I mean, that's probably the most classic manifestation of a society that is brazenly discriminatory. I mean, let's face it, I belong to the upper caste and I hang my head in shame for the way we have perpetuated division based on caste in our country. Let's be honest, is the BJP government even open for a caste census? Why are they not? Because, you know, end of day questions will be asked in terms of allocation of budgets for the poverty alleviation, for actually ensuring that those who need government support are getting it or not. The very fundamental point. I don't know why people keep saying that, you know, the constitution said 10 years, but ladies and gentlemen, to kind of eradicate what was for decades and centuries a practice of treating people the way we did, it is not going to change overnight, and therefore there is always going to be a continuity. We have perpetuated discrimination, and we have to accept that reality.
I think we have to also look at, in all fairness, whether reservation in its current form has worked to achieve the intended goals. Has it, or has it not? I think that's a fair question to ask and an important question to ask. Mr. Saravanan, do you agree with that?
See, reservation has to continue, Tamanna. There's no doubt about that, because there is still inequality. There is still over-representation of the upper caste in the niche jobs. Only the jobs which require physical labor and all that, that is populated by the other communities. So definitely this reservation has to continue. And that is why our leader, Mr. M.K. Stalin, has stated that this judgment is a setback for our 100-year journey of social justice. That apart,
nobody on this panel this evening, I set out with one question. Nobody on this panel in this evening has been able to tell me in real terms, in practical terms, what is going to be the impact of this judgment? What will happen?
I will.
Will there be more quotas in states? Will there be lesser open seats? Will private educational institutions also have to start reservations? What will it actually do? Yes, Mr. Saravanan, you want to answer that?
Yes. See, that's what. When another important aspect of this judgment would be that they have breached this 50% mark. And you have put a very, very valid question. So when this 50% mark, that was the Lakshman Rekha so far. So even the Marathi quota was down. It was not allowed. So many other quotas were not allowed because most of the objections were that there was this 50% quota. So now that has been breached. Now they said you can go ahead. Now, Mr. Sanjay Jha points out a caste census. Now we are asking the union government, go ahead, have a caste census. So let us distribute the pie as per the representation, as per the population based on caste, so that nobody will have any problems. But will the union government has the courage to do that? Because it panders to the upper caste people. The union government will not do it. It just has imaginary 10%.
I think we are not looking at the fact that there are many segments of Indian society. And it's not only lower caste versus upper caste versus OBC versus minority. There are many kinds of people. And they all deserve at least an equal chance to grow. Are we able to provide that is a question we need to ask. Very quickly, Sanjay, very quickly.
Yeah, if you look at it, the Patels in Gujarat, you had the Jats, you know, you have had protests from a lot of people from...
So you're saying that Pandora's box is just opened up?
Yes.
Absolutely. And therefore, the larger issue, and this is the point that we need to make here, the government has failed on delivering on its economic promises. The job scene has been a monumental disaster. And therefore, these are desperate steps to try and keep the impression in the minds of the people that, listen, we are trying to do the best we can to give you some protection.
Okay, so now you're making this political, but that political move, if this was a political move, and perhaps it was made in Jan 2019. Just days after this was passed in Parliament, it was challenged in the courts, and today it has been upheld. So that political move has already been made. Now, what remains to be seen is how it plays out practically. And that, of course, is the big question mark. I want to end it here. I have to end it here, but thank you to all of you for joining us on the lead story this evening. I'm taking a very short break. When I come back, we're talking about how Delhi's air pollution rules have been walked back as the quality of air improves slightly. But was that decision taken too soon?
दो साल में रेट रॉकेट 100%.
क्या भाई साहब, गेट सही प्राइस ट्रेंड्स at 99acres.com. घर लेना हो या बेचना, एक्सपर्ट से ही पूछना. 99acres.com.
Presenting partner Herbal Life Nutrition. Co-powered by G